Welcome everyone to Women's Empowerment Across Generations. We're coming to you from Houston, Texas, USA, as our hosting location where it's sunny and peaceful in our area. I'm your host, the Amazing MagnetWoman, and here's a little about me. I'm a teacher, health coach, and director for Funchess Missionary. I also have a background as an insurance professional, and I'm currently expanding the Amazing MagnetWoman brand to help women and young people conquering anxiety, even anxieties around financial matters. But let's get going and moving forward. Joining us today are some amazing women. I'm going to introduce each of you and give an opportunity for you to say why you decided to join this conversation in 1 minute or less. Betsy has an extensive career background in nursing, an everlasting commitment to God and family. She has been a homeowner for an impressive number of years and is known in her area. Also, she has traveled all over. And lastly, she is my beloved aunt and twin to my late father, Reverend Jesse Funchess Sr., Esquire. Thank you for being here. I'm Betsy. And did you like to say why you decided to join this conversation?
Yes, I decided to join because, I enjoy talking to people, and you learn something no matter how old you are. And that's the reason I wanted to just sit here and see what it was about. So my generation I don't know about computing stuff, and I'm happy that I was able to log in today. And this is the first time I ever tried to do something like this. So thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you, and we are so honored to have you here. Next is Tiffany Trent. Tiffany Trent is a theater educator, theater director, and a minister. She is also a single mom through the gift of adoption. Tiffany, why did you decide to join a conversation?
Thank you so much. I decided to join just because the idea of financial literacy for women is so important. I think a story that gets handed down is that we will do this within certain types of family structures and on a certain timeline. And when life goes differently for you, as adventurous and exciting as that may be, it does mean educating yourself in a different way to make your choices, kind of in a different rubric than what you thought you'd make them.
Indeed. And thank you, Tiffany, for being here. Next is Rain, with a background in hospitality, human resources, and project management. She has managed budgets professionally and wants to improve her personal financial health. Rain, why did you decide to join this conversation?
Like I've heard other people share, it is, again, to keep learning. You can always learn something new. And because this is so important to do for yourself individually and also as a family, financial literacy is just very important. And if I can learn something that can help me, help my family, I thought this was a good way to spend my time.
Definitely. Thank you for joining. Marika Baraka is a sister, daughter, and mother of 3 grownish young adults. She is a content and business development professional with experience in the engineering, software, and ed tech fields. Marika is also active as a leader and member in several community organizations. Marika, why did you decide to join this conversation?
I will have to join the chorus of saying that the financial literacy is a journey, and I always have more to learn. I also, by virtue of both my kind of personal and professional life, have had opportunity to learn some things maybe more the hard way, and so if I can share with others, I guess I hope to be able to potentially help others tackle some of those challenges, maybe not so much the hard way, by sharing from my experiences, and then also learn from others how I can continue to improve and grow in this area.
Yes, thank you. Grow. That's something we all need. Also joining us today is Mia Funchess, 20 years old, who attends Houston Community College. She is from Houston and a country girl at heart. Mia, why did you decide to join this conversation?
Oh, it looks like we may have
Lost.
lost Mia.
Okay, well, it's okay. She might come back. We will continue. So, pretty much, I want to personally welcome everyone, all of you who took the time to come out once more. Now, let's have some fun, ladies. How many of you want to be a homeowner? And I would say I'm in that category. I want to be a homeowner.
I also would fall into that category of not being a homeowner, but one day perhaps having my own home.
Indeed. And even if you don't want to be a homeowner, then you might have some questions or challenges around home ownership. So thank you for sharing.
And I am currently, I am a homeowner. I currently own the second home that I purchased, and I guess I'm happy to share more about that as we go on.
Yes, yes. And we are eager to hear from you. So anything that you would like to share, please do.
Well, I think, I guess I'll share a couple of things. So I bought the first home I purchased when I was only a few years out of college, when I was, when I was married at the time, and I was having my my oldest child, who is about to be 26, and that was and I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what I was doing. I was fortunate to have family support, my parents, to help provide some guidance at the time. And what was, one of the first things I learned was very important at that point was my, your credit score, right? In terms of being able to qualify for financing, and then, the down payment and all of that. So it took some time to get our ducks in a row. And I owned that home for about 17 years. And then I purchased, my current home I've been in for about 12 years, and was definitely knew more, kind of the second time around, in terms of what I needed to do to put myself in position to purchase the home, which did still include making sure that my credit scores were in good shape at the time, and making sure that that I had my finances in order, not necessarily just for the down payment, but there's a lot of unexpected expenses with purchasing a home that you don't always think about initially, in order to make, in order to get going. So, and I'll pause there. I think I heard others at least say they were homeowners as well. So I'll let someone else chime in.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
I am also a homeowner. I'm actually in the middle of selling my first place, and should be closing on my second, actually the end of this week. And I echo what Marika has said about what it takes and having things in a row. I have been fortunate both times, and this is something I would put out there as part of, the process of financial literacy. There are so many home buying programs that are out there that people don't know about. So for my first home, I bought a condo, and my employer at the time had a program where if you took basically some financial literacy classes and home ownership, home buying classes, you had to do a 4-week session once a week for 4 weeks. And if you completed that and qualified in some other ways, there was both a grant from the community in conjunction, this community organization in conjunction with my employer, to get more home ownership going in that part of the city. And then I had to have only a certain amount down. And so I was able to get some education to help me buy that one. This current time, I am also taking advantage of a particular home buying program. And part of what is happening with that program is people who have certain professions are eligible to get that loan without certain expenses and costs, because certain jobs are considered to be a good risk by that bank. They have confidence about your employer and that you'll pay. And those are some programs that people often don't know they're eligible for, much like we say about college scholarships for our young people. There's a lot of education and preparation and access that people may not know about.
That's so true. That's so true. Thank you for sharing. Would anyone else like to share about their home ownership? Being a champion of home ownership. Anybody else a champion?
Well, I am a homeowner also, and I've been living in my house where I'm living now for 45 years. And I try to instill in my grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and I noticed that I'm the oldest one probably on this town. I'm 91 years old, and I enjoy living here. So I like to just share that with you.
That is awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And even I remember, when I was very little, coming to your house, and I still have, the pictures, and it was always a warm and loving place to be. So thank you for that.
And I will just, for those, that are interested in home, well, I mean, I just, Betsy, I am very impressed. I just have to say kudos to you for being a homeowner for 45 years. That is incredibly inspirational and aspirational. And I was just gonna, say for those interested in home ownership, that is historically one of the kind of the primary means of wealth, of generational wealth, and personal and generational wealth building, especially for Black families and in the Black community. And there are ways in which we have historically been shut out, or had challenges, had a higher bar to meet, and still to this day, you see in the news stories of differences in valuation, challenges in lending, et cetera. But I think it is for those that are looking to, whether it's just to have your own space or as a means of, building your kind of personal portfolio, would strongly encourage people to pursue it.
Thank you. And I'd just like to add to what was said that, yeah, definitely I want to be a homeowner and I'm moving forward to becoming a homeowner. I'm in a multifamily movement by Julian Gordon, who is amazing. And he is teaching me everything I need to know from A to Z about how not to be tricked, how not to get into a bad deal. In addition to that, I'm also working with NACA and the Harris County area as far as getting that down payment assistance. That is real, y'all. That is real. Just do what they ask, not asking you to do anything that's different. It's all for your benefit. My next question is, how many of you have a 401k or an IRA from your employer?
I do.
Is that something
I-
that you feel like you're really benefiting from?
Well, I first started it with my first job out of college. And I worked to implement the 401k plan for the company. And I do feel like it grows. You know, a lot of employers will match. If you contribute a certain amount, they'll match up to a certain amount. And you can contribute up to a maximum. Some of that is based on age in terms of how much you can contribute per year. And one thing you definitely want to do is, if your employer matches, you want to do everything you can to get all of that match. So you definitely want to make sure you're contributing and getting that match, because otherwise you're really leaving money on the table. And if that's a benefit you really don't want to leave on the table. In terms of how you benefit, as we know or hear of the market these days, of what's going up, what's going down, inflation, how it's affecting stocks and mutual funds and all of that, it's for your retirement. So I'm not someone who's watching it every day or even every month. I'm someone who gets my quarterly statements, looks at the gains or the losses, and, you know, will have my annual meetings with a representative from the company and discuss whether or not we need to make any changes. But it's grown, it continues to grow. So I would say, yes, I am benefiting.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, because we definitely want to know, like, is there a benefit to these things, you know, or is it just something else that we have to do? So thank you. Thank you.
I'll piggyback on what Rain said, and that, yeah, if your employer has a matching program, like she said, it's leaving money on the table to not at least invest that much, because then that's essentially you're saving more than what you have to set aside yourself, right? It's not, it benefits you not just from the interest earnings over time, but just that it's essentially additional income, right? That you're getting by investing or saving through your company program. And what I'll say is, if your company doesn't have a matching program, it's still good. Meaning, like, it's one of those things. It's kind of like how people say, like, people who do their taxes, there's those people who are like, oh, I set my deductions, or before they change the tax code, you set your deductions high and kind of let Uncle Sam invest for you for the year, versus those that want to set it such that, like, they get as much money as they can and they do their own savings. I think it's one of those things, like, are you one of those people who, if you don't participate in your 401k, are you gonna still save, right? Mm-hmm. The same for your retirement, because as much as we all think we're invincible and we're going to be happy and healthy forever. You just never know. And so being prepared for, for down the road is important. And so like Ray, I've invested in mine, in my company 401k. I did not initially, my first job. It took me, I had small children. I was like, I can't afford it. And then I did, again, one of those lessons, maybe learned a little bit the hard way, that like the 3 to 5 years where I thought I couldn't afford it, I look back now at potentially like what my savings profile might be had I even set a little bit aside then, maybe not the full amount, but a partial, where I, that's savings that I missed out on. So even if you don't feel like you can fully benefit from it, I would, still, even if it's just 25, 50, whatever amount, it's gonna, it's for the most part, it's still gonna benefit you in the long run. So at any rate, yeah, I my first one, I set the profile. My second one, I just, I did the retirement year, and kind of my company, manages it from there, or the program administrator. And I too, despite the ups and downs of the market, have seen gains.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, because that was one of the things I was wondering, because like I had a 401k before the pandemic, and yeah, it was doing great. But then, during the pandemic, I didn't have a 401k. So I'm wondering, are the people with 401ks doing all right? So thanks for sharing that. My next question.
No, I was just gonna say, it's not as pretty as before the pandemic, but
No.
that's why they say don't look at it, just ride it out. Because if you do pull out, they the only way to like confirm the loss is to pull it out, right? And so if you can try to be patient, don't look, ride it out, the market always comes back.
Good to know. Good to know. Thank you. My next question is for anyone to answer. How many of you have your own life insurance policy and would like to say anything they'd like to share about it?
Well, I'll say that I started a new job during 2020, towards the end of the year. And I previously only had my employer's life insurance policy. I didn't have anything extra, but COVID did change that. And I did take out a little bit extra because of COVID. So I believe that it is portable, but that is something, now that you're bringing it up, I definitely need to double check. And by portable, I mean, even if I leave this employer, I still get to keep this policy that I'm paying for out of my check. And that is one thing I'll go back to say with the 401ks, and that is that another benefit is that it reduces your taxable income. So you're saving the dollars pre-tax. And so that's also important, because the more that you put away and save, then the less you are paying in taxes. And your life insurance benefits, depending on how it's set up through your employer, if it is a policy that's yours and is portable, again, that also comes out pre-tax usually.
Oh, yes. Great point. Great point. Thank you for adding that. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, definitely. Savings upon savings. And it's all for the benefit of you, or even for the benefit after, after you're gone, for the benefit of your family. So I'm definitely, I tell everyone, get a life insurance policy, and don't just wait like, oh, I'm 25 or I'm 21 and I'm gonna live forever. You actually get a better rate there's a better discount the younger you are. So go for it. There's like no time like the present.
Yeah, and so and to your point, Jessica. So for myself as a mom, as a parent, and as a homeowner, I purchased. I think I purchased my first term life insurance policy again when my oldest child was born, because that was the point at which it kind of got real, right? Like, just in case something happens, we would want to make sure that that my child and that it wasn't a burden on the family, right? As much as possible, because it's already a hard situation, and so life insurance is something that can at least help to minimize the overall. I mean, it's not a good situation regardless, but that can at least hopefully address some of the financial considerations or buffer that some. But yeah, so I had and this is actually a thing that my insurance agent has been checking in with me monthly on, because I told her I need to redo my policy and I have not followed up, but I'm working on it. It's on my radar. I know I need to do that, but it's something that I strongly encourage people getting. And again, and I guess to the point of why she's reaching out to me on a monthly basis right now, making sure that you update it periodically based off changes in your situation, right? And so, because I think eventually reached a point, when my marital status changed, and also I think my youngest child was maybe 8 to 10 before he came, a little bit after the other two, before he realized, oh, he's not on there as a beneficiary. And so keeping track of those things when you have major life events, some people recommend like an annual review or whatever, is again, a good goal to set for yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, and I mean, hey, this might sound like a no-brainer, but this is reality. Like, tell people you have life insurance. Like, tell your family, tell your loved ones, like, what company, give them information. If someone you trust, don't just let it be a secret or just a paper that somebody might find, right? So yeah, definitely. My next question is, how many of you have your own independent financial advisor? And I believe, Marika, you touched on it already.
Well, so that's I do have an insurance agent, and that's another thing that I'm it's on my to-do list, where I do feel like I've reached a point where I have some things to look at right now. I guess what I'll say is, thus far I've mostly leveraged the advisors and the resources available to me through my employers, right? Through my company's 401k program, through my insurance agent, in terms of what I've done with my life insurance. I actually did, I changed, I think Rain mentioned a job change in during the pandemic. I had a job change last year, and as part of that job change had some financial, some pre-tax benefits that I had to take, had to find a home for, and hopefully try to avoid a tax penalty for. I was with an employee-owned company. And so I bank with a credit union. I like credit unions. I like their structure. They're typically less fees and charges. And so I sought advice from them. So I don't have like, my I'm going to date myself, I think, but like my EF Hutton or Wells Fargo, financial advisor, like a person that I don't have, where I have a portfolio management or anything. But I think, even for many people, working class, middle class, that again, there's those resources available potentially through your banking institution, through your employer, through other community organizations. Actually, one organization I know just enough to be dangerous on some things. I actually our local extension organization. Some communities have an extension services, has a financial mentoring unit, and I actually have volunteered with them and worked with college students and individuals on some budgeting that they don't do, not investment services, but there are those resources out there sometimes in the community that even if one doesn't have their own financial advisor, that you can leverage still for that kind of advice, and that I have leveraged for that kind of advice.
Oh yeah, that is a major nugget that you dropped right there. Most definitely, I agree, Marika. And as far as like changing jobs and converting your group life insurance policy to an individual, you have to like go get it. Like you have to request these things. Sometimes it's just like, oh, really, you wanted that? And then 30 days have passed since you're you departed from your job, either because you got a promotion or you started your own business, and they have deadlines for these things to convert. So
they definitely do. They definitely, and that's nerve-wracking in and of itself, right? Because when you've not done that before, it's just not a thing that typically comes up very often, and you're like, I don't have a standing advisor to call up and say, hey, what do I do with this? And so but again, talking to your employer, talking to whatever, trying to see if there's community organizations or people that you can reach out to make sure you don't that whole, sometimes you have to still just sort of do things scared, right? Or do things to make sure that you don't miss out on benefits that you worked really hard for, basically. Right. So
yeah, and I mean, even like sometimes during this whole pandemic thing, like people, like your paperwork could get lost. So keep copies upon copies. And yeah, people other than yourself make mistakes. So just double check and dot your I's, cross your T's, and yeah, you're responsible for your life. So cherish it. And with that said, we are running out of time, but we have had a great conversation across the generations today. And I don't know about you, but I definitely feel empowered as a woman. I do know I've benefited from this gathering, and for that, I am grateful. I'm grateful for each one of you all who took the time to join, and for each one of you all who took the time to even watch or even listen while you're making dinner. But before we go, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to The Amazing MagnetWoman on YouTube and IG. For inquiries, you're invited to email us at support@funchesslight.org. Thanks again for watching, everyone. Peace and blessings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for